This is J7 and I'm bringing you my long-awaited Final Fantasy Tactics tier list. I'm also including special jobs like Holy Knight, and it is also going to be quite a long video, so grab a snack, like, and also subscribe if you love Final Fantasy Tactics, retro games, and underrated titles. For my tier list, I'm going to divide it into 4 different tiers. S for top tier and game breaking, A for amazing, B for very good, and C, good / situationally good. I think every job has a purpose, but none of them are truly that bad or obsolete, because some jobs do have like an amazing support or movement ability, and going into that to learn that ability makes that job quite useful in my opinion. I'm also going to be basing it on base job abilities and stats, its killing potential, its utility and support, the variety of equipment it can equip, and last but not least, their usefulness in battles, including rendezvous battles, which are exclusive to the PSP version only. Alright, so now we get into the fun part of this video. We are on tiermaker.com with a Final Fantasy Tactics tier list maker for all the jobs. So we have Luso. I wish there was a Ramza sprite. I don't see him on here. So Luso is pretty much like a clone of Ramza. He doesn't have the female magic attack stat growths like him, but he does have a built-in poach ability. But let's just consider them the same. So I wish he had some cool sword abilities like Agrias, but you can always get Darkness as their secondary ability. But I'm going to put them as S. Here's why. They have some of the best buffs in the game. Tailwind, Steel, Shout. They're just insane abilities. And you can definitely abuse them by spamming them every single turn. So definitely S. I do think they're kind of lacking on the killing potential, but they can equip knight swords, clothing, hats, as well as armor. So they have a good variety of equipment. They have good base move as well at 4. So teleport, move +3. They're quite mobile. Next we have Agrias. She starts off kind of weak actually, in my opinion. Her base Holy Knight does have a lower physical attack stat, so I do recommend leveling her up as like a ninja or knight. Increase that physical attack stat. Her base move is 3, but her Holy Knight abilities are just insane. You know, Judgment Blade, Hollowed Bolt, like 100% hit rate, and it has range, can attack multiple targets. She can equip Knight Swords, Tiny Rogue. So in the end game, she's definitely S tier. She can also equip a ribbon as well. That's another plus. But in the early parts of the game, I'd put her at like B, but I'm just gonna consider their max potential for abilities. We have a monk. Definitely A. I do think they're very, very strong. Critical recovery HP is an insane reaction ability. They do great damage, easy to power up, great physical attack, good HP, even good speed actually. They're one of the faster generic classes. Definitely A. Like, if you struggle with the fight early on, like whether it be Wheatgraph in Chapter 1, 2, or Gafgarian, like a dual wield monk does the job, or even without it. Like, they're just really, really strong. We have Dark Knight, which I will put at S, but probably at the lower end of S tier. Insane job. Their damage, high physical attack, increase their brave even more. They do lack HP, but their darkness abilities, Sanguine Sword, Crushing Blow, just some of the best abilities, and their killing potential is insane. They can also equip clothing, so that's also nice. Their base move is 3, but just their killing potential is just so strong. S tier, but I'd say at the lower end of S tier. Like, I don't think Dark Knights are better than Holy Knights or Sword Saint or Divine Knight, but definitely very game breaking. Next we have the Dragoon. Their killing potential is great. They have good HP, good physical attack. My only issue with them is that I wish jump worked better with them. Like, their speed stat is slow, but jump is also based off your speed stat. Like, it doesn't synergize too well with the Dragoon. They do have a great reaction ability. Dragonheart, Ignore Height is kind of like a weaker teleport, but their killing potential is very good. I think they're useful in most battles. If you can time their jump right. They're also a ranged melee unit. And Javelin 2 is a very strong weapon with 30 attack. So I definitely, but they're not quite as good as the Monk. Monk is definitely at the top of A along with like Ninja. I'd put them at A, but like on a lower tier of A, if that makes sense. But I do think they're a good job. A little lacking in the speed. They could probably be B as well, but actually I might put them at B. Like, if they had a higher speed stat and jump synergized with them, I'd definitely put them at A. But they're still very useful, can get the job done. Knight is also like the Dragoon. They do lack speed. I do think they start off pretty strong in the earlier parts of the game, but in order to like really make them strong, you need Knight Swords, which only come in like chapter 4. They can come in chapter 2 if you use that Gafgarian exploit and JP spill. You can get Defender in chapter 3 as well, but I'll put them at A for sure. Once you get their like strongest Knight Swords like Chaos Blade, Excalibur, put them with dual wield, they're just very strong. Having that built-in haste, I mean not built-in haste, but yeah, Excalibur, they're definitely up there. Once it comes to the late game, they kind of slow down in chapter 2 and 3 though. But once you get those mid-light steep Knight Swords though, and armor like Maximilian, Lordly Robe, they're such a powerhouse. Geomancer is interesting. They're very well rounded, not particularly great at anything, but Geomancy as a job ability, you know, good range, no MP cost, no charge time, and like a 20 to 25% of chance of inflicting a negative status ailment. Really good base movement of 4. Attack boost is great. Nature's Wrath is a good reaction ability. My only problem is that, yeah, their killing potential isn't as strong as this, let's just say as like a Knight or Monk, but they're just really well rounded. And you can put Geomancy on like a Mage class. Attack boost to help further the attack damage of like a Knight. I'm gonna put them at A. Their utility in and out of the job is really good. Definitely underlooked in my opinion. I don't think the Geomancer is quite good as a say Monk, but I do think they belong in the A tier category for sure. And they can equip shields as well, so that's also another plus. So the Chemist, their killing potential is kind of weak. Like, their stats are poor. But I'm going to give them A based on their utility and support, as well as usefulness in battles. So, Phoenix down, 100% chance, no charge time. You're going to be using a lot of Phoenix downs throughout your playthrough of the game, and you can only do that with items. X Potion is great. Auto Potion, one of the best reaction abilities. You take damage, bam, X Potion. And earlier parts like chapter 1 and 2, if you have like Potion, High Potion, not much that can out damage the potion on heal of the reaction ability in those 2 chapters. Treasure Hunter, that movement ability, even though like it's not increasing your base move or anything, you need Treasure Hunter to get the best items in the game, like Escutcheon 2, the second Javelin. I mean, you can get ninjas to throw them at you, but that can be kind of complicated. Maximilian, Lordly Robe, Grandhelm, like all those items you're gonna need Treasure Hunter for. And in and out of the class, the chemists will be useful. They have built-in throw items, great secondary action ability. Like if you don't know what to put on a unit, items is your way to go. So they lack the killing potential. Their stats do kind of suck, but just the utility and support and the fact that you need them to get the best items in the game, like chemist has to be there. And Phoenix Downs, very, very needed. So Arithmetician or Calculator, very interesting. So they actually need spells from the other jobs to cast them, but once you learn them, they're free and they can be targeted to anyone on the battlefield. Their base job abilities, I mean their stats, very, very poor, like the worst in the game, I believe, next to Bard. In fact, it could be worse than the Bard. Actually, no, I take that back. Their speed is like worse than the Bard, and magic stat, but that's besides the point. Like, just slap that secondary action ability onto a black mage or something. Oh my goodness, just free spells. Cast Holy, it's any spell that you learn, like that's how strong their abilities are. Pain in the butt to level up. You can't use math skill in Rendezvous though, so that won't cut it, but in the single player game, they're just insane. Like, some speedruns ban it because they can just wipe the board. Yeah, poor stats. Even their base abilities aren't, like their reaction ability, movement ability, like not great, but just being able to cast those spells, you know, for free, no MP, no charge time, and target everyone, they're gonna be at S for sure. Just, it doesn't work in Rendezvous or even melee PvP, so keep that in mind. But even with that being said, poor stats and pain to get those abilities, they're still S. So we have Mustadio here. When you first get him in like chapter 2, he's pretty good, but he kind of falls off quickly. The damage with guns is very weird. Even though I did make a good magic gun build with him, like, actually using his base job is not that good. But you need him to do all those cool side quests, and you need him for Tyner Rogue. So if this was just complete battle, I give him C. But because he's useful outside of battle, and you're able to get Tyner Rogue and all those other characters and do those side quests, I'm gonna put him at B. Tyner Rogue's the best accessory. I just wish they made him a bit more stronger compared to the other jobs, but he's like one of the not as good special jobs. Like, he can disable and immobilize people, which is insane, but once they're in chapter 4, everyone's wearing that thief's cap, you know, they're immune to it. Seal Evil is great, but it's very, very situational. Not that many zombie battles or undead. So, I mean, I like Mustadio as a character. Cool guy. But I gotta put him at B. I just... Later into chapter 3 and all, I just don't think he's as useful. I'd rather have a monk dealing damage to demons in that second half of the Wheatgrass fight than having Mustadio there. Balthier is like Mustadio on steroids. He can equip armor, clothing, hats, shields, knight swords, guns, you name it, except female accessories. Fantastic stats, especially his speed. Good physical. Built-in safeguard. Plunder, he's like a thief as well. Barrage, can attack 4 times with a gun. Like, man, Balthier is definitely S tier. Some people will actually consider him better than Orlando, which I can see the arguments for in Reis. Like, his killing potential, his stats are good. His utility is amazing. Like, you need to be able to steal some equipment from enemies as well. And he's just all around useful in every single battle. So definitely Balthier is up there. Oh, Cloud, what a disappointment. I'm going to put him at C or B. Leaning towards C. Like, he does have a good physical attack stat as well as magic and pretty decent HP. But he's slow and you need Materia Blade to use limit. And Materia Blade is a very, very weak sword, only 10 attack. You can slap Swiftness on him, but his abilities still take a long time to charge. You can make a finishing touch build, but even then, I'd rather much have someone attacking and killing a target than using finishing touch. He can equip a ribbon though, so if you like change him to something else, like a secondary ability, other equipment, he can be very good because of that ribbon. But he starts off at level 1. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed in Cloud. Like, by the time you get him, everyone else is like maxing their abilities too. I just wish the charge time on limit was much, much faster. And you didn't need Materia Blade for it. Or if Materia Blade was stronger. So, yeah, I just don't see him being that useful in most of the battles at all. Or actually, by the time you get him, it's like the end of the game. So, yeah, I mean, he could be higher, but most people don't want to put in the time for that anyway. De-leveling and re-leveling. So we have Beowulf here. I'm going to put him at S because his abilities are very, very good. He's like a mystic on steroids, being able to cast those spells instantly. He has Night Swords, he has good HP, good physical attack stat. Increases Faith to 94. That'll increase the accuracy of all his spells. Give him Darkness, secondary ability. He can deal great damage, heal himself back up, restore MP. And he's very, very useful, not just for killing, but even in Midlight's Deep. You know, you sleep the last target, use Chicken to lower a unit's Brave, petrify targets as well. That's counts like a death too, or a kill. He's definitely S. Good base move at 4. So we have the Orator, or Mediator, if you're familiar with PSX. They are good in the sense that they can increase or decrease your faith stat. They're like the only unit that can do this and permanently change that stat. They can entice foes. They can equip guns. They also have that ability, equip gun as well. But the chances of you enticing units and all that, it's really low. I mean, you might as well wait for a raise. They are good at, you know, Brave and Faith stat increasing, but you'll use Ramza for Brave increasing anyway. We'll use them for Faith. I definitely C or B, but I'm going to put them as C. I just don't think their killing potential is that good in most of the fights, even with a gun, because you have 99 attack and that won't affect the strength of your gun. So their overall utility and support isn't as useful as, let's just say, chemist. And their killing potential is rather weak. But just because they're C doesn't mean they're bad. I still think they're good and situationally good. Like, nothing's truly bad here. So if you like the Orator, I'm sorry. I just don't think they're as strong as the other jobs. And these are just my opinions. Everybody can agree or disagree. Next we have Sword Saints, Orlando. Definitely S. Oh my goodness. Insane stat growths, amazing abilities. He can equip hats and clothing as well, even though he's a knight. Good speed, good base move. Like, what more can you ask of this guy? He's useful in nearly every single battle in the game as well. He's like one of the key characters to get through Rendezvous as well. And he comes with Excalibur. Come on. Yeah, S. No questions asked. I like the higher part of S. Maybe him and Balthier as being the best characters. Lytle, Divine Knight. If this was the original PSX, I'd put her at A or B personally, because you can't use Unyielding Blade against monsters, and most of the random battles you'll have are against monsters. She has great stats. Can equip clothing. Good base move. Definitely S. Unyielding Blade, the Divine Knight abilities are just really, really good. The only way around them is, you know, Safeguard from the chemist, which renders them, or those abilities, obsolete. So, yeah, definitely think she's S. Not quite Orlando status, but even Beowulf in my opinion. But definitely S. Definitely, I'd rather have Rams as a Divine Knight than a regular Squire. His Uber Squire is insane though. So the Mime, great stats. They have Beastmaster, Concentration, and as well as Brawler. But they're a little tricky to use, and you can't really equip other abilities on them. Great for de-leveling and re-leveling. They can't copy special job abilities as well. So I will put them at C. Doesn't mean they're bad. They just, I feel like, require too many things to use well in actual combat. But great stats. So we have the Ninja. Definitely A. Arguably even S as well. Fantastic speed. Great physical attack. The only thing that they're truly lacking is like HP. But good base move, good base jump. Fantastic built-in innate abilities. Dual wield. Like, what more can you ask for from the Ninja? Like, useful in like all battles. Next we have Rafa. She actually has pretty good magic stats. So it's the low brave, so she's excellent for deep dungeon. But the Sky Mantra, it's just too inconsistent for me, as well as the charge time. She can do good damage, but like if you just compare her even to the generics and even the other special jobs, she just doesn't compete. I mean, she can do that damage, but for me, I like consistency, and her abilities don't really offer that, as well as good stats. So I'm gonna put her at B. Very useful in Midlight Steep though, with her low brave. Just tricking her a few times, she's good to go. Geomancer is also good with her, so she can possibly be A as well, but I'm just heavily basing it on her base job. Here we have Reis. Insane. A little bit RNG at times, but she has the best like stat growth in the game. But she can only equip female equipment though for the most part. So Dragon's Might, Dragon's Charm, like insane abilities if you have dragons, especially like a Timelet or a Greater Hydra. Holy Breath too is potentially like the most damage dealing ability in the game. I feel like it's a lot more accurate than, let's say, Rafa or Merrick's ability, and she can just wipe out so many enemies at once. Still a bit RNG, but I feel like it's a more consistent, and it requires no charge time. So definitely Reis at S. She also has a built-in dual wield too. She can tame monsters. Has Beastmaster too. She has quite a few built-in abilities. So definitely Reis for S, 100%. Samurai is an interesting job. I feel like Shida Hadori, the reaction ability, is one of the best in the game. They actually have a good physical attack stat, but their speed and base HP in their job is quite low. Draw Out or Ido is a fantastic job ability. But if you use them like within the samurai, it's actually kind of weak, because Ido is based off of one's magic attack stat. Which the samurai, you know, it isn't bad, but you might as well be using it with like a black mage or something. But that being said, though, like Ido is very strong, even Shirahadori or Blade Grasp, I'd put them at the lower end of A. Mainly because they're a bit slow, their HPs and like their base like doesn't synergize that well with their job. Now we have the Squire, like the job you start off with. This is the generic Squire, by the way. Focus is amazing. You gained JP up or JP boost is very, very good. It helps you throughout the entire game when you're trying to grind for abilities and whatnot. I want to put them at B. So, like, yeah, they are kind of lacking in their physical attack as well as speed and even HP. But those two abilities are just so useful. I'd put them at the lower end of B, to be honest. Summoner is interesting. They can deal some great damage. You don't have to worry about them hitting your own party members. I wish they were a little faster on the charge, though. Vorse Summon. Critical Recover MP is, I don't think is that great of a reaction ability. Havel MP is an alright support ability. I think it's really good on Beowulf, though. Yeah, this is gonna make some people mad. They do have good killing potential. They can cast safely. I'm gonna put them at B. Like, they're strong, they can do a great damage, but it's also dependent on one's faith. Enemy's faith as well. They're a bit fragile in terms of HP and that charge time. Like, they can work for sure, but I just don't think they're as good as like the ninja or monk. So we have the mystic here. Pretty good job overall, especially with drain. Like, use drain and it deals like 25% of a boss's HP. Mana Front is amazing. Their movement ability, defense boost too. Yeah, but their kill potential and that charge time as well. And their stats aren't that good either. Definitely probably B. Like, their speed isn't good either. Yeah, I mean, this is just my opinion, though. I still think they can be good with their abilities, but I do think they're a little lacking. Like, if you compare it in a mystic to like a ninja or a knight or a chemist, I just don't think they're as useful. But defense boost and mana front are insane. We have the archer. This one's gonna be C. Like, they really start to fall off even towards like the end of chapter 1. And their speed isn't great. Their HP isn't that great either. Their physical attack is alright. And you can't, in their base ability, aim, like charging your bow to deal more damage. It's just too slow. Adrenaline Rush is nice for the reaction ability, but... And even concentration as their support's decent. But I just don't see them aging like fine wine even into the late game. Definitely one of the weaker jobs in my opinion. Good in chapter 1 for several battles, but I do think they start to fall off pretty quickly. Here we have the Black Mage. Insane magic attack stat. Like the highest in the game. Very fragile though, and that charge time can be a problem. Chapter 1 and 2, I do think they're very, very good. They will start to fall off later. Flare is insane. Arcane Strength. You slap arithmetic or math skill as their secondary action ability. Make sure you learn Holy. You can blow stuff up. Doesn't work in Rendezvous though. So with that killing potential, I'm gonna, oh no, not B, definitely A, possibly even S. Like with that certain setup. But if you don't have that setup, like they can still do a lot of damage though. They're a bit fragile, so being very tactical with them is the way to go. Now we have Thief. I'm gonna put the Thief at, I'm gonna say C. Like their stats aren't that good. Like their speed stat's pretty good, but it's like the same as a monk. Good evasion, good base move and jump, but they're just kind of weak. Like their killing potential, move +2 is very, very nice though, as well as stealing. But yeah, they're only good for stealing stuff. Like that's what they're useful for. But in terms of killing potential and everything else, like I just don't see that much benefit in having a Thief as a party member late into the game. Next we have the Bard. In fact, they have like the worst stats in the game. Their magic attack stat's actually pretty good, if I remember. But yeah, I mean, Nameless Song and Finale, they take forever. They can be good songs, but they take forever to sing. And when it goes off, it's not a guaranteed to buff you. Magic Boost and Faith Boost aren't that good of reaction abilities. Move +3 is very, very good though. One of the best movement abilities, that and Teleport. But because that's like the only thing they offer, I'm gonna go with C. Like you level up a few times as a Bard, your stat growth is poor. Like the only, like I think I'd rather have someone else, like another damage dealer than a Bard. But because they have move +3, I'm gonna put them at C. Their buffs can be good, but I like consistency. If it's landing like half the time or even less, I don't consider it that good. Great for de-leveling though. So you could make an argument that they're a B for that usefulness and support. Now we have the Time Mage. They do have a good magic attack stat, but not quite as high as the Black Mage. They do have Teleport. They have Mana Shield. Insane reaction ability. It's like taking a free hit. You combine that with Mana Front, and they can use Haste, Slow, Immobilize, Quick. Very, very useful support. Their killing potential, I think, is a little weak. Even with Meteor, it's a bit of a slow charge time. But just being able to haste your party members with Haste, Teleport. Well, you Time Mages, you have to be a Time Mage in order to get Teleport. Mana Shield, even Swiftness too, increasing your charge time. I'm gonna put them at the lower end of A. Like they kind of like that kill potential, but their utility and support, they do have like, they're kind of squishy, but just offer so much utility and support. I'm gonna put the Black Mage a bit further. There we go. All right, now we have White Mage. If it was in terms of looks and cuteness, I'd give the female S tier. Not gonna lie. They're kind of an odd magic class. Like they do have good speed. Like that rivals out of the Monk and Thief, surprisingly. And even their physical attack is a good bit higher than that of the Black Mage as well. But they have a lower magic attack stat. Not really useful reaction ability, as well as support. Like Arcane Defense, you might as well just lower your Faith. But Holy is such a strong spell. Very good with Arithmetics. You can multiple heal with like Curaga, very, very good, or Curaja. Sorry for the plane in the background. It's so loud. I'm going with White Mage as B. Like, they can revive units with Reis and Reis 2, but that requires a charge time. It's not guaranteed to land. And most people just go into it to learn Holy. Protect and Chill are nice, but I'd rather deal damage or something, or make sure I have like a guaranteed revive with Phoenix down. But yeah, some will argue A. Like, you can make some pretty cool builds with them because they have pretty good physical attack and speed, but I just don't think they're as good as the other ones. But you could argue that Holy is the best spell for Arithmetic, so they could even go higher, but if it's just that one ability that really makes them that strong, I think the White Mage should be B. We have Onion Knight. I'm going to put this at C here. Like, Onion Knights, you need all the jobs mastered to have good stats. They can't have any abilities equipped onto them. And they are good at re-leveling and de-leveling units, but you need a wild boar to level up an Onion Knight, which is so cumbersome in order to do. Like, their unique Onion equipment is the best in the game. Like, Onion Sword has 50 attack. Onion Armor gives Protect, Chill, Raise, Regen. But, you know, you can't equip other abilities. They can only physically attack. And even though it's for like 999, like, in order to get all that, you need to master like all the jobs, get all the Onion equipment, and that's so time consuming. And if you're on the Warped Lines version, not the smartphone version, you need to rendezvous in melee to get those equipment. And you're going to spend the whole game mastering 14 different jobs. So I'm going to put them at C. They aren't completely bad, but situationally, they are good. The Dancer, I'm going to put at C. Dancing takes too long. Like, their debuffs are good when they land, but in order to get those off, like, they're going to keep dancing. Their stats are poor. Like, if you can land a good Last Waltz or Polka onto the enemy, really, really good, but their stats are just so poor. They don't really offer good support, reaction abilities, even their movement. Like, Bards get move +3, but females get jump +3. Like, you might as well get Ignore, Hide, or Teleport instead of that. Like, they can be good if you get multiple dancers and they just, you know, feed off of each other, but I much rather have a damaging unit, in my opinion, or like a utility from a chemist to make sure I'm alright. It's more consistent. Last but not least, is probably my least liked character, so I might be a little biased, is Merrick. Like, his damage is based off of lower faith. His base stats are kind of mediocre. You can only equip poles. He has a charge time as well. And all his abilities are kind of inconsistent. Like, I can never get them to land. Like, I feel like you're better off using anything B through S. But if you really like the guy, you know, you can make him work. It does take some time with lowering faith and etc. But yeah, I just don't think he's that good of a special job. I think there are much better ones out there. I think Rafa's a lot better. It's easier to power up, or Sky Mantra. So yeah, this is probably my longest video I've ever made. So this is my tier list for Final Fantasy Tactics, the War of the Lions version. I'm not sure who's here till the end of the video, but this was quite a long one. But in short, you know, I don't think anything is truly that bad in the game. I feel like each job has something very, very strong about them, but there are definitely other jobs that are more useful in more different ways. Like, you know, for the Bard, move +3, that's your thing. But you know, move plus 3 is very, very good for the movement ability, but like, does it match the killing potential or stats of, let's just say, Balthier or Sword Sant? In my opinion, no. So yeah, this is my tier list. If anyone who's bothered to watch and listen to me this long is bothered to say, you know, feel free to comment your thoughts and opinions. I'm open to feedback and different views and looks on certain things about these jobs in my list. So hey, hopefully you enjoyed this video and took in consideration my opinion. So thank you all for watching if you stayed this long. If not, I hope you have a great one.